I can still recall the sound of her voice that night. Gentle, almost playful. "I just need some space," she said. "I want a date to have fun. But don't you dare move on. I might come back." Her words were sharp, hidden behind a seemingly sweet smile. She expected me to wait, like some loyal pet tethered to her doorstep, wagging its tail while she disappeared into the arms of strangers, hoping she might one day return. I didn't argue. I simply nodded. And in that quiet, I found my first weapon. We had been married 3 years. She came from wealth. I did not. I offered loyalty, patience, a steadfast love she once claimed she wanted. She gave money, influence, and open doors that swung wide because of her last name. I loved her before any of that mattered. I believed she loved me too. But wealth corrodes in its own way. It breeds entitlement, a constant hunger for something new. She didn't seek a partner. She sought variety options. The signs had been there long before her confession. The late nights, the secretive smiles at her phone, the faint scent of another man's cologne. Betrayal had already crept in. So when she finally spoke, heartbreak and anger didn't hit me. Only clarity. I gave her none of what she wanted. No pleading, no tears, no confrontation. She expected a performance to assert her control. Instead, I offered silence. Cold, deliberate silence. While she laughed with friends, I observed. While she partied, I prepared. First, I secured myself. She had always been reckless with money. Impulsive transfers, extravagant spending, careless with joint accounts. She assumed I didn't notice, that I couldn't see past her world of wealth. She underestimated me. I quietly retained a lawyer, an expert in high-stakes divorces. Together, we traced her hidden accounts, her family trusts, the loopholes in the prenup she thought shielded her. She believed herself clever. She was not. Then I severed every tie she thought bound me. I moved assets she never knew I controlled. I cut connections she believed she commanded. Piece by piece, I built my fortress while she chased fleeting distractions. And finally, the sharpest move, I prepared my exit. The night she told me I could be her safety net, she unknowingly handed me the blade to sever her from my life forever. By morning, before her coffee had even cooled, I had blocked her everywhere. Phone, email, social media. Even her family couldn't reach me. I erased myself with surgical precision. At first, she didn't notice. Why would she? She was too busy exploring her playground of options. But eventually, the truth sank in. Choices don't love you. Choices don't tolerate moods. Choices don't remain. When the novelty faded, she sought the safety net that had always caught her. But it wasn't there. The silence she once found comforting turned sharp, suffocating. Her panic began in small ripples. A mutual friend forwarded a message. Then another. "Why aren't you answering her?" they asked. I only smiled. The messages escalated into desperate acts. She appeared at my old apartment, unaware I had moved. She called my former job, only to learn I was gone. She even reached out to my lawyer, who, by design, gave her nothing. Every attempt to reel me back ended in empty air. The day it all collided was gray and rainy. I stepped out of a meeting and saw her, soaked, trembling, mascara streaked down her cheeks like ink on torn paper. "You blocked me," she hissed, her voice cracking between fear and fury. "Yes," I replied, nothing more. She froze. She was used to explanations, endless patience, a love that bent itself around her storms. Not this. Not a wall. Not silence. "You can't just leave. You can't." "I can," I said. And I already had. I watched as she unraveled in front of me. She tried to summon nostalgia, to revive the ghost of our love. She played the abandoned wife, pleading for more time. But it rang hollow. In the space between us, she hadn't wanted me. She had wanted certainty. A man who would always wait, always stay, always orbit her. That man was gone. My revenge was quiet, precise, surgical. I left her to sit in the void she created while I thrived in the space she assumed would consume me. Her family called, her friends called. Some tried to shame me back into her world. I ignored them all. Real revenge isn't chaos, it's absence. Complete, undeniable absence, forcing the betrayer to choke on their own emptiness. Silence wasn't the end. Weeks later, divorce papers landed on her desk. She had thought I'd never act, that my pride was tied to her scraps of affection. Instead, I left with quiet resolve and claimed half of what she swore I could never touch. Her desperation curdled into rage when she realized what I had taken, not just money, but control, narrative, and power. The woman who once told me to wait while she explored her options now scrambled for the one man who refused to orbit her anymore. I'll admit, watching her unravel was addictive, not because I hated her, hate means they still matter, but because it confirmed what I had always known. She never deserved the version of me I gave her. I offered loyalty. She gave conditions. I offered steadiness. She gave ultimatums. I offered love. She gave an expiration date. So I gave her silence. Now, when her memory brushes past me, there is no sting, no anger, no longing, only nothing. And that nothing cuts sharper than anything else. She once told me never to move on. So I did the one thing she feared most. I moved on without her.